Hello, wild friends, and welcome to the Africam show. I'm so excited to be here with you. I always miss you guys when I haven't seen you or spoken to you in a while. So, a little slice of Africa to get us through the week. That's a nice thing about the Africam show as well, right? It's nice and early in the week, and we can feel like we're giving ourselves the time to really enjoy wildlife as we settle in. Now we're at Camelthorne. Oh, and so many zebras, and you can hear them calling, which I find very, very, uh, uh, I can't even find the right word. Very strange. The call itself, I mean, it's almost like you don't expect it to come from a zebra, but those little kind of whelps that you're hearing, that's all the zebras. Very sweet. Oh, and it's a great display of why these stripes work for zebras when it comes to predators trying to scope them out and trying to fixate on one individual when they're hunting. But anyway, we'll get to that in a moment. Right? How strange are those calls? Beautiful. Anyway, remember that we're live and interactive, so send through questions and comments. We love to hear from all of you. Today, we have to traditionally go through how we're enjoying the show. Today I have some tea. I'm leveling up, everybody. I was always just have water or have nothing when I'm with you all for the Africam show. But this time I have some hibiscus tea. Very fancy. And Jack DeBoer says good morning from Chesapeake, Virginia. Jan Powers is here too. Hi, Jan. You say hi, everyone. Still hot in Arizona. It's really starting to warm up here in Johannesburg as well. Today it was 22 degrees Celsius, and later on this week we might even get as high as 27 degrees Celsius. So that makes me very happy. I am not made for the winter. Bridget says hi. Grumpy old man, it's me, Trishana. Yes, it is. Arsenegro says hi also. Thanks for jumping on board, everyone. So we know about the different theories behind zebra stripes, but well, to go through them quickly, one theory is that because black and white kind of absorb and reflect heat and light differently, that maybe it creates kind of microclimates around the zebra that allow it to cool down. The other theory involves protection from pests because the black and white contrast might make it more difficult for flies and things to land on them, particularly biting flies. And of course, the last one, which is why we call them a dazzle of zebras, is because it may be predator avoidance. And when they're all grouped together like this, you can really see how predator avoidance could be it. But in reality, it's most likely a combination of all those things. Very often, when animals develop a certain trait, then when we think about reasons that may be, it's usually not one thing. A trait develops, it's not harmful to the animal, it may be beneficial. If it is beneficial, it may be beneficial in more ways than one. And that's the case with the zebra. But when they're standing close together, it's kind of difficult to figure out which zebra is which, and as those lines bleed into the next zebra and all those kinds of things, it can be quite difficult for a predator to just zone in on one. And that's important because the majority of zebras are not, the majority of predators are not just kind of like running in and flushing out prey. A lot of them need to focus on one specific individual and target them. And the zebra patterning makes that difficult. Mindy, you say the scene reminds you of a mini migration. It really does. It's like the slow migration. And here in the Boteti area and Boteti River, there definitely was a type of migration as well, and there most certainly still is. We've got a nice starling. There is a lot going on. As I was busy chatting about the stripes on the zebra, we've seen crocodiles, hippos, elephants. We've got a beautiful starling as well. Nice long tail, looks like a Burchell starling. Alfredo Leone, you say you love zebra sounds. They remind you of the beginning of The Lion King. I suppose so. And dear NC says good morning to everyone and to me. You're looking forward to the show with your coffee. MG Leopard Spots has some ice water and an iced espresso soon. Oof, all these summer drinks. I am envious. And look, you'd probably think that's just a sea of boulders. These boulders, however, could snap you in half. Sandy's pack, you say nature is so clever and amazing. It is so clever. Um, it's like a chicken and egg situation as well. And I'm afraid, we're going to go into a bit of philosophizing when we try to figure out why and how and when and which came first. And we could never know. But either way, it doesn't matter because nature and the way that life comes to be on this planet and the way that it evolves and changes and survival are all the most awe-inspiring things. It's so it just draws out the curiosity in you. And once you've kind of tasted a bit of that curiosity and just tried to explore those ideas a little bit, you're hooked. There's no going back. You got to keep on digging. And that's what I love about my job, actually. That we continuously learn. And there's always questions. And the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know, which is the best. Certainly very, very, very noisy. But so nice to see so many zebras packed together like this. Well, I'd love to go over to one of our new cams, Mino Aquena, which I saw for the first time today. But when I was looking earlier, it reminded me of one of the reserves that I had worked at previously, and there was a very nice feeling about that waterhole. There we go. And of course, there are elephants around, and some zebra. Now, this is also around the Boteti River, so you're also going to see quite a lot of zebra movement. Kaoru has joined us. You said, hi, Trishana, you're sorry you're late. You are out birding. Well, you know what, Kaoru, if you are out birding, you are happily excused. I'm so glad that you managed to get out. You said you didn't see any birds, but you heard a lot, and you also saw an American red squirrel being very cute and consuming something in a tree, and that you also saw a bumblebee. Everyone, if there's one thing I could do, of course, I love to do these shows with all of you and learn in this way. But if you could, sit outside and just watch what happens, even if all you see is a squirrel and a bumblebee, that is invaluable and irreplaceable. Those moments of just observing nature. Well done, Kaoru. Oh, check out this little one on the right. Oh, it's decided to turn around and go back into the middle of the herd there. But it looked like it was ready to fight the zebras. If you don't hear me for a few seconds, it's because the weather's heating up, so I've got a bit of hay fever and I need to sleep. That's a little bit better. Sorry, everyone. NW Girl, you say good morning from the Pacific Northwest. Great to see so many zebras. Absolutely. And it's also interesting to see that the landscape has changed quite a bit. Things have gotten really, really dry, pretty much all round everywhere. The only place, at least where our cameras are, where it wouldn't be dry right now is the Stony Point camera, where we see the penguins. Everywhere else will pretty much be dry. But that will start to change soonish. I think my favorite time in the bush is around October. Ooh, Cass has just sent a message to say that one ton is at Old Donyo. Let's go say hello. Oh, hello, one ton. It has been a while. Whoa. Every time I see him, I'm so impressed by his tusks. So impressed. Notice how he saw this other male coming through and he stopped to face him as he approached. Oh, we know him too. Does he have a name? But he's the one who has the injury at the bottom of his trunk, but still manages to use it without a problem. Oh, remember we had that time where we got a really nice close-up of him drinking, and we could actually kind of see the flow of water in the trunk. I think it's so crazy that he drinks, I mean, obviously, well enough with that injury. Because imagine just like, when we drink and we suck through a straw, the reason we can is because we have complete cheeks and we can create a vacuum and pull liquid up. So if you had a hole in your cheek, for example, you wouldn't be able to do that effectively because you can't create a vacuum. And in a way, a hole in his trunk is doing the same thing. Yet he manages to pull water up at least sufficiently for that still to be the primary way that he drinks water. Because elephants can also kneel down like babies do before they learn to drink with their trunk. Adults can also bend down and drink in that way because remember, water is essential. But he's getting sufficient water just like this. I would love to see if he can use those two finger-like appendages at the end. Even if I can see some movement in them. Oh, there's a bit of movement there, right? He can definitely open and close them. A little bit of a greeting there. Checking on one ton. How are you doing, friend? Whoa. I am so impressed. He can definitely still move those two finger-like appendages. Um, maybe he's not as dexterous with them, maybe he's not as strong with them, but he can definitely use them. And I don't know if he's just very lucky in that his kind of maybe his injury didn't sever certain important nerves. something like that, because it's almost as if that injury is not there. Osenegro, you say it's interesting how the giraffe that was there earlier, as probably still there, how it bends its knees to drink while others spread their front legs wide to do so. I wonder if you lost me there for a moment. But Osenegro, I was referring to your question. I said it's actually like 50-50. It's some giraffes bend their front legs, others kind of stretch them, spread them, all in an effort to get that head way down. And we sometimes play a game, uh, you know, we play games as guides at waterholes, and we'd like, take a bet, which is this giraffe when it comes to drink, is it going to be a spreader or a bender? Oh, did you hear that sound? That was the sound of their tusks touching. Hmm. We're just going to watch this interaction. And neither is being aggressive or anything like that in any way. I'm not seeing the type of body language that would indicate that they're fighting or want to fight. There was quite a normal hello by dipping the trunk in the mouth earlier, but they are getting very close to each other. And I think that they're fighting, however friendly that fight may be, but they're fighting over the spout that pours the fresh water into the waterhole. And can you hear that slurping? That's the eland next to us drinking. Wonton really wants um that pipe all to himself. I think if our friend with the lower trunk injury doesn't take a step backwards, um, Wonton might get a little bit aggressive. He's very much in Wonton space. Now, any kind of confrontation that goes on here would not be a result of displaying to figure out who's bigger, who's more dominant. It would simply be a fight over a resource that both want. It is Asanegro, a very slow fight. This is the fight of two people who really don't want to fight. However, they really both want to use the basin in the bathroom. Alfredo, you asking, are they both males? Yes, they are both males. The easiest way to tell is to just have a look between their legs. So you can see the one on the right, it's quite clear that you can see a bulge between the back legs. With females, you're not going to see that. That's the penis sheath. And if you look at Wonton, who's the elephant on the left, you can see that he's also got that. Other things to look out for, really large tusks because males continue to grow as opposed to females. And if you look at the forehead, you can see it's quite rounded in both of these individuals. But that's not really effective unless you have something to compare it to. You know, if you see a female and she has a boxy forehead, then it makes sense. If you're seeing two males, then um, it may not be as obvious. Fiverr, you say you've been having fun watching wild hares speeding around the open spaces behind your house. Fiverr, that sounds like so much fun. So much fun. Um, I would love to see one of the hares that you have behind your house. At the moment where I am staying, it's very city. So I've just been seeing the usual suspects, birds, nothing else really. But I'm always on the lookout and always listening. Oh, and we're back. I always feel that just thinking about one ton and that elephant that was fighting. I always feel that maybe especially when it comes to that pipe at Aldonio, I think it maybe elephants get even more defensive when they know and more possessive of that pipe when there's somebody else there. If no other elephant is there, they'll drink to their heart's content and then they leave. But when there is another elephant there, there's always a bit of pushing. Now I wonder what these elephants, this group is getting up to here. Often when we see this, if you see a dam or a water hole and then a smaller one just next to it, sometimes it can mean that there's a small spring there. And it does look like they're all drinking. Let's just watch closely again. Yeah, I'm seeing trunks lifting. They're crowding around. Now, I suspect that there is a spring there, or maybe even the water table has been hit and water has come up through that area and it's just cleaner than the dam. And when there is a situation where you get two water sources, there we go. Cass just told me there's a pipe there. So the elephants are fighting over pipes all over the place. Now, when there is a situation where there's two water sources that are pretty much next to each other, like right next to each other, like this, and one is preferred by the elephants, usually because there's a pipe, because there's a spring, because there's a well, you'll find that the elephants will drink at one and play in the other, which I think is so smart. Because as soon as you start to disturb the water and play and kick and all those types of things, there's a ton of sediment in the water. And then that doesn't become as tasty and as drinkable. So I think it's very smart that they play in one and drink in the other. It makes so much sense. We've always heard that elephants are very picky when it comes to water, and we've definitely seen that in their behavior here on the cameras. But in the bush, I've seen that behavior a lot. When the dry season is upon us and water holes have become quite shallow, which means, of course, that water is evaporating, but the concentration of particles in the water is not. So it gets full with sediment, with algae, with bacteria. And while other animals will drink at those water holes, elephants will tend not to. But you must think, well, where are they going to drink then? If they don't want to drink from water holes that they find the water unclean in. And imagine me going into a riverbed and seeing the elephants actually digging for water. The first time I'd seen it was the first dry season I'd obviously ever spent in the bush, which was like 2019. And I saw that for the first time. And I thought to myself, that is a lot of effort just to get a little bit of clean water. And that preference must be super strong for them to prefer that over just, the shortcut, which is drinking some not so great water from the dam that all other animals seem to be fine with. Oh, that looks like a big male coming through there. Alfredo, another thing, just talking about you were asking if they're both males. Another thing to think about when we're trying to figure out whether we're looking at male or females, elephants, is that females live in herds. So they're going to be in a group. They're going to be with other elephants and they're going to be with youngsters. Males tend to be on their own. So this guy coming from the distance, slowly towards this area, nobody else with him. I would assume that's the male. That's not always the case because elephants can keep in contact over long distances. So sometimes part of the herd might be elsewhere. So you might see a female come through that has been with others on another side of the dam or something like that. But this here, something about the way that he's walking, the way he's approaching, also his height. Males tend to be bigger, taller. All tell me it's a male. Let's have a quick look at how they respond to him. Yep, he's definitely a male. Got a quick squiz between his back legs. Sometimes an approaching male can make the herd scatter and move away very quickly. Other times, they can be quite aggressive, maybe not aggressive, but they can be quite defensive and will kind of push the male to the periphery, particularly if it's a young male. They seem to be the biggest troublemakers. And over here, you can see that this male was pushed to the periphery. And the largest individual is going towards him. Ah, that's another male. That one just walking off the screen there. Maybe they're taking turns. Maybe this herd said only one male at a time. I've seen herds be very accepting to older bulls. Very, very accepting, almost not even noticing them. And that's because I think older bulls, and in my experience as well with them, they tend to be very, very calm. Very calm, very almost, thoughtful in the way that they carry themselves. Whereas younger males don't really have that. They're a bit trigger happy. They can be, look at him, look at him. Gone straight through and now he's pushing the behinds of the females with his head. That's not good behavior, and that's definitely not going to get you close to that pipe. There was a time when, for one thing, I've always really, really loved older elephant bulls because I've always had great experiences with them. Um, Experiences where it cut me down to size two, you know. Um, I was never complacent with them. But there was one time when I was tracking some animals. I think I was tracking a leopard or some lions, I can't remember. And I was looking and looking and looking for new tracks, but they weren't coming up. Finally, I found new tracks, but it was close to a waterhole, and I could see an elephant bull in the distance. But I was safe where I was to get out and to have a look at the tracks. And so I said to my cameraman, please let me know if he moves closer to us. Because I was right next to the vehicle, right behind the vehicle looking at the tracks. And then, minutes pass and he says, Trish, he's here. And I turn around and the elephant is literally at the vehicle and not approaching. He's standing there watching me about 3 meters from the vehicle. And he wants to pass the vehicle to get to the waterhole. And I felt that this elephant was such a gentleman, was just, I was so lucky and I'm so grateful for the way that he behaved with me because he watched me and now I had a moment of, what do I do now? Because I have to get closer to the elephant in order to get to the driver's seat. And then I went against the car and I shuffled through and I was still talking to the elephant and I said, thank you so much for waiting for me. All very calm tones. And I slid into the driver's seat. And once I sat in the driver's seat, only then did the elephant continue to move and cross the vehicle and get to the waterhole. So old elephant bulls can be just magnificent. And you honestly feel like somehow you are communicating with them and they are communicating with you. But while I was telling that story, you might have heard the commotion. And that I can guarantee is because of the behavior of that younger elephant bull that has been pushing the bottoms of the cows in this herd. It's making everybody a little upset. There's quite a few bulls here, and it's scattering everyone. I can just imagine these cows. Everything was going so well. Everyone was drinking just fine. We were sharing, and now you boys came and you're causing problems. Go drink from the other waterhole. Right, Water, you say good morning from New England with an espresso. And you say, great show, very cool hearing elephants drinking and pushing in a warm morning. Hello. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. You jumped on with some proper entertainment. Lots of pushing around, lots of cool stories, lots of cool sounds. What a way to start your morning. Anyway, Kirst sent me a message again to say, want to check on the Black Eagle chick? But I was getting too into the elephants. Let's head over and check how our Black Eagle chick is doing. Wowie! Holy moly! This is the chick? I mean, it clearly is the chick. You can see the gape. The gape is the side of the mouth where the slit of the beak extends to. You can see it's nice and long like a rose eagle. Nice and robust. Wow. This is kind of unbelievable. How long has it been? The last time that I checked on this camera was definitely like, maybe a month back, a couple weeks back. And the chick was a tiny, tiny, tiny fluff ball. And now you've actually turned into something. That is insane. Well, how's it been going, everyone? I can't say that I can't say I've been paying attention, or watching this camera. And I really wish I had, but to see each stage of the development of this chick, because it is insane how quickly they grow. Oh, excuse me while I sneeze a couple times. I'm back, everyone. Just a little snotty, but I'm back. So just looking at this juvenile, and I think that young raptors are some of the most difficult to ID because you almost expect them to have at least the adult color, if not the full adult plumage, as they grow. But that's not really the case, right? You hear with this juvenile, you get this yellow-brown plumage, which is exactly what we expect. And then if you look at the adult, you've got this jet black with the white V on the back. Here, we're not seeing any white V, and definitely has still some time to go. But there's something still chicky about it, even though it's probably pretty big already. But there's still something pretty chick-like about that. Maybe it's the way that it's looking around, curious but cautious. Oh, it's just amazing. Now, if you imagine, like I said, oh, thank you. I was just about to ask Caro. Jack de Boy, you're asking what kind of eagle this is? This is our Verreaux's eagle, our black eagle. It's the chick. So Verreaux's black eagles or Verreaux's eagles, they look fully black. They've got a white V in on their backs, and they've got this, yeah, yellow beak. So very easy to distinguish. There's nothing quite like it in Southern Africa anyway. So it's hard to confuse with anything else. But as a juvenile, it's a little bit more difficult because they've got this kind of roughed up brown yellow plumage, right, white underside. Could kind of look a little like a tawny eagle. And that's a problem with identifying juvenile raptors or eagles particularly, is that you can get them confused with so many things. So Karu, you said 2 months. Thank you so much. So it should start to get fledging pretty soon. I'd say, what was this? Like, maybe it's been 9 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. So by about 12 weeks, they're going to leave. They're going to be fledglings. And then you'll actually see, if you're out on Game Drive or whatever, you would be able to see a juvenile black eagle. And Asnegro, you're asking when will it actually get adult coloration? It will only fully have its adult coloration in a couple years' time. It's about 4 years it takes for the adult coloration to fully come in. But imagine leaving your nest after 12 weeks and still having, like, several years worth of molting before you can be recognized as a proper adult. Ah, interesting. Bridget, you say the left leg looks deformed. I noticed that, but I can't tell if it's just the way that it's positioned. Oh yes, give yourself a good clean. Did you see what I mean there, Bridget? It almost looked like it was curled up in a weird position. You say it also looks a bit swollen. I wonder, Cass, can we get zoom in a little bit? I don't think we can with this camera, but I might be wrong. But it does look odd. Hmm. It's still able to stand upright, which is really important. But the problem is that if the oh no, it looks fine. I think it's just sitting on it awkwardly, and the other leg is because see this nest is not even. The other leg is further down, so the actual talon is sort of below the sticks, whereas the left leg is just being stretched out. At least that's what it looks like. Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Thank you for showing us that your legs are just fine. Because if there was a problem with that left talon, that would compromise the survival of the chick completely. Because that's how they make kills. They're predatory birds, so they have to be able to get down, grab their prey. In the case of black eagles, they're kind of hyrax specialists. They love to eat hyraxes, and you got to be able to grab them with your talons. So if there was a problem, that would have been a bit of a disaster for this little one. But thank goodness it's all good. He was just being a youngster and making us worry for nothing. Anyway, you can see some craziness is going down here. All the zebras are being chased by what I can only assume is a young elephant, a young male elephant. I can see the elephant at the top there. When it comes to crowds, whether it's human crowds, animal crowds, it's just like it's impossible for there not to be some chaos. And I kind of like that. When I see crowds gathering, human or animal, I know. Just sit tight. Let's just see what happens. Well, if I were you, I would continue to watch this camera, the camel thorn camera. Who knows why the elephant decided to run up the hill and push all these zebra? Maybe there's something else going on. Remember, when there's lots of prey species around, it can attract predators too. So this would be a really cool camera to stick with and watch if you still got time after the show. Because from our side, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for your questions and your comments. It's always a pleasure to have you all on board and spend this time with you and with African wildlife. And I'll see you all on Thursday for Wild Moments. But now, wherever you are in the world, enjoy yourself and keep watching the cameras. Bye for now, everyone.